All right, and boom. What is up, everybody? It's me, J Rod, the filmmaker, former film major, frequent fighting gamer from Philadelphia, and welcome to 2026. Most of this video was shot in 2025, but not this part. I am here in the flesh, here in 2026. So I can tell you guys that we're still here. I'm still here. The channel is still here. So all of that is great. And more importantly, you're still here watching this video. I'm very excited for 2026 because I believe this is going to be the year where we hit 1,000 subscribers. We are so very close. We're right at the door of 950. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get it some point in 2026. And I'm excited for that. And I'm already working on what we're going to do to celebrate once we hit that. But also, this video, the first video of 2026, is my 1,000th video. So that's also absolutely insane. I saw that I was getting close. So I kind of, dropped a couple little extra bonus videos here and there in 2025 just to make sure that my first video of 2026 is this one. And it is our 1,000th video. It is also a Ufilmee rewind. If you've never seen one of these videos, I'm just going to go and recap my last year through TV, movies, and video games. So I'm going to talk about everything that I watched, all of my favorites and my least favorites. And we're going to break down the year that way. It's a really long video, so I'm not going to waste too much time here. I'm going to get right into it. But I hope you guys enjoy. And also comment what was your favorite, least favorite shows, movies, video games, etc. What was your favorite one of my videos in 2026? That's what I really want to know. And since we're on that road to 1,000 subscribers, make sure you guys are liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, whatever you can do. Hyping the video if you're on mobile. Whatever you could do to help the channel because we are getting so close to that 1,000 and we can't get there without you guys' help. But without further ado, let's get into the long list. All right, so we're going to get into it right now with the list of all the shows, movies, and games that I have watched in 2025. Starting off with some of the shows that are uncategorized. Let's do it. First thing we got is The Sex Lives of College Girls. The show's on HBO Max, and it came out for their final season this year, and it was a pretty good end to the show. It was a pretty good show overall, but I will be sad to see the show go. I think it's worth a watch if you've never checked the show out. And there was Squid Game. The final season came out this year, and then the second to last season came out like at the end of 2024 into 2025, and sheesh, I'm gonna be honest, the final season of Squid Games was very yikes. I don't know what happened to it. It was so weird. It was all over the place, but hey, it is what it is, and it's over now. Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus. This is one of the best Star Wars shows that they've ever put on Disney Plus. Skeleton Crew is so good. It just perfectly knows what type of show it wants to be. It's family friendly. It's like Treasure Island in space. It has pirates. It has treasure. It has all of that, but it also has Star Wars. Skeleton Crew was so good. A highlight of my year. Saint Dennis is a comedy show that comes on NBC, if I remember correctly, set inside of a hospital. It's a really funny show, but it's, very standard network sitcom. You can come back and watch it every week, but nothing crazy happens. It's a fun show. All American came back for another season in 2025, and the show is on its way out. I believe in 2026 will be the final season of All American, and you can kind of tell by the writing and the directing, as they did try to kind of soft reboot the show, and it hasn't worked that much. I mean, it's still fun to watch, but it is not really a good show. It's a CW show, so, I don't expect much from it anyway. Harlem came out with another season this year. I believe this might have also been the final season for Harlem as well. And unfortunately, it wasn't a very memorable season. I can't really remember anything about it that was particularly good. Not to say it was bad, but it wasn't memorable. Then there was Daredevil Born Again, which came back for its first season, and it was a really good season of Daredevil. It doesn't seem like it missed a beat at all from the Netflix, picking up the story from the Netflix series. I was supposed to do a first and final video on this, but I forgot to actually record the audio when I was reacting to the trailer. However, this show is going to come back for a second season this year, so I will make sure that I actually do a first and final video. But as far as the first season, it was really good. It had everything you would expect from Daredevil. Great action, great story. Kingpin is there. Daredevil is there. The conflict is great. Plus some new characters and new situations. Raising Kanan, Power Raising Kanan came back for another season this year. This is one of the best Power spin-offs still to this day, and the newest season did not disappoint. It was very good. It continues the story, and I think it's leading up to another new spin-off of Power that is supposed to deal with the origins of Ghosts and Tommy. The Residence is a whodunit created by Shonda Rhimes. It was on Netflix. Features Uzo Aduba, and it was actually really fun. If you like whodunit type things, this was one of the better ones of the year. Granted, this is a TV series, and most of the other whodunits are movies, but this one is really fun. It takes you on a really fun journey. It's a really expansive whodunit with a lot of twists and turns. Also, this features Isaiah Whitlock Jr., which as of the day I'm recording this, he just passed away yesterday, or at least we just found out about his passing yesterday, which is very unfortunate. He's been in so many different shows and movies that I've mentioned throughout these years, and he is a really great actor, and he will sadly be missed. Also, Andre Braugher was originally supposed to be in this series, and he passed away before they completed production, so it's very sad. But I would definitely recommend you check out The Residence if you just want to see Isaiah Whitlock in one of his final roles, because it is also a really good show. Side Quest was a show. It's a spin-off of Mythic Quest that is on Apple TV Plus, and Side Quest was really good. It's kind of anthology, so none of the episodes are actually connected, but they go into some different story ideas that Mythic Quest kind of started. If you watch Mythic Quest, and we will talk about Mythic Quest more later down the list, they do these certain episodes that are basically a detour away from the main story, and those end up being some of the best episodes in the series. Side Quest is basically an entire show dedicated to those sort of detour episodes, and it was really good. I don't think it's coming back for another season, considering Mythic Quest just did its final season, but if it does come back, I will be really excited to check out more of it. Shorzy is another spin-off. This is a spin-off of Letterkenny. I believe I finished Letterkenny last year, the final season. I think it was 12 seasons total, which is insane, but I was really missing Letterkenny, so I decided to check out the spin-off Shorzy, and it's so good. This one focuses on hockey, whereas Letterkenny is more of a broad look at the different people who live in Letterkenny. But it is just so good. It has the same phrasing humor, really snappy, funny jokes, and really good writing that you would expect from Letterkenny, but it also adds a bit more of that hockey player, sports movie sort of inspirational sort of tone to it. Shorzy is really good, and I wanted to come back for many, many more seasons because I miss Letterkenny so much. Adults on FX is probably the most underrated comedy show of the entire year. It is hilariously funny. It's pretty much an expected plot. You have this group of friends that live in New York, and they just try to get by every day, but they are so outrageously funny, and the situations they get themselves into are insane. It is definitely worth the watch. Check out, it was on FX and on Hulu, so you can check it out whether you stream or if you still have cable. I would definitely recommend Adults. I cannot wait for it to come back for another season. The Librarians, the next chapter. I believe this is also a spin-off or maybe a sequel series to an original British sort of sitcom or something or other called The Librarians. I had never seen the original show, but I decided to check out this version of it, and it's really fun. It's kind of cheesy. It can definitely be corny at times, but it definitely fits in that vein. If you really like the CW shows like Legends of Tomorrow, it definitely fits in a similar vein like that, but it deals a lot more with magic and things of that magic, fiction, fantasy, and things of that nature, as opposed to the more scientific superhero-esque things. But it's a really fun show if you just want something cool to watch. It's definitely really cheesy. I'm gonna tell you guys that up front. Some of the VFX are a little rough, but it's a fun show in there. The characters are really cool, and it just passes the time really well. Forever is I don't know if I should call this a romantic comedy or will they won't they sort of romance series, young love type of series on Netflix, made by Mara Brock Akil, who's a veteran in the industry, and it's really good. It's just fun if you want to see a young love story, two teenagers falling in love. It does have a lot of modern dilemmas and conflicts in there, some stuff that you probably didn't go through when you were young and in love, but it is a really good show, a nice little will they won't they if you're into that type of stuff. Four Seasons was a mini-series on Netflix as well. Had an insane cast featuring Coleman Domingo, Steve Carell, and much more. And it takes it's a story of these couples as they come to different vacations all around, year round for the different four seasons. There's a lot in the show. It's comedy, It's fun, but it's also sad at times. It also really deals with everything. I think as the seasons change, it also deals with the range of emotions and the range of life and death and all the things in between there. So yeah, 4 seasons is very fun. Great cast. I would recommend it. 9 Perfect Strangers came back for another season this year. This one is a bit more interesting because I watched the first season of 9 Perfect Strangers. It wasn't my favorite show, and I was surprised to see the second season come out so much later. However, I mean, it's an interesting watch. It's kind of a psychological thriller, but it's nothing to write home about, I'll be completely honest. It's a fun watch, maybe, but sometimes it drags. Ironheart came out this year on Disney Plus. It's a Marvel TV show. I did a full first and final video talking about my thoughts on Ironheart, but the too long didn't read it that I liked it. I really did like it. I think this is an underrated show, and it got way more hate than it deserves because it's just really good. The characters are really good, the VFX in it was really good, and the story is great, and it introduced a character we've been waiting to see for years. The next up is Clean Slate. This show is on Amazon Prime, I believe. This is a fun little sitcom, features Laverne Cox and George Wallace, and they play off of each other really great as a father and daughter sort of duo. Another just great sitcom. Doesn't really challenge you too much, but it's fun to put on and pass the time with. BMF came back for another season this year, just like the other, Stars crime movies, and this wasn't my favorite season of BMF. At times it did feel like the plot was all over the place here and there. The characters were split up, time was passing, there was like flashbacks and flash forwards, but it was still a good season. It was still a very interesting season of television with a lot of action and a lot of twists and turns. Just not my favorite season. I thought the earlier seasons of BMF were better. Then there is Portlandia. I know that this show, it's a sketch comedy show, is really old, but I had never checked it out. Actually, somebody told me that they thought I would like the show a long time ago when it was still on TV. And although I never saw it, since it was on Netflix, I decided to go through and binge it. It's really funny. It's really out there. It's outrageous. And I did really enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. And then also Tires. Tires is another Netflix sitcom. This one features Shane Gillis, a comedian, and it's just really funny. It's about a bunch of people who work at a tire store. They work at an auto body store and they try to sell tires, but a lot of hijinks ensue. This was outrageously funny. I watched a lot of it on vacation, like on the plane, and it was really fun, really funny, and great to binge watch. Then there was Bet. This is another show I watched on vacation a lot. This is a live action anime adaptation on Netflix based on an anime I believe it's called Kakaguri. Live action animes are usually not that good, but this one is fun. This one is really good. Maybe I'm giving it too much grace because I had never seen the anime that it's based off of, but it's actually just a really fun show based on this school where all they do is gamble. The hierarchy of the school, everything is based off of gambling. I really cannot wait for the rest of the show to come back. I think it was a part 1 of season 1, but I might check out the anime before the next season comes back because I feel like I'm in a show hole. I really actually do miss this show. It was really fun to watch. Then Resident Alien came back for its final season. I'm sad to see the show go, but it was consistently very good, very heartfelt, feel good, upbeat the entire time. Most of it is on Netflix. I don't think the final season is on there yet because it just aired. And I believe the show started on Sci-Fi, then moved to USA, and then part of it is on Netflix. So it's a bit all over the place, but if you can check it out anywhere, I would recommend Resident Alien. Alan Tudyk is great in it. All of the actors and actresses are really good in it. And like I said, it's really heartfelt. It's really upbeat and hopeful, despite the fact that it's about an alien living in a town. Then, in a similar vein to Aliens, there was Alien Earth. This one, I anticipated Alien Earth. I made a video about Alien and Predator franchises earlier this year, and I was excited for an Alien TV show to come to FX, and I really enjoyed Alien Earth. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really clever how they introduced a bunch of new species of aliens, but they still managed to make a nice story about the xenomorphs, and they still managed to make another character story about these synthetic android children of sorts that are kind of being manipulated by one of the company's prodigy in the Alien universe. I thought this was a really good show, and it had a lot of different elements. It was action, it was suspenseful, it was a thriller, it was sci-fi, but it was also horror, as Alien has been known to be. There was also like the corporate espionage type of plot. The one critique I did have is that it ended in a very like anticlimactic sort of ending. So it had a really good season of television all the way to the final episode. Then the finale wasn't bad. It was just okay, and it was a bit underwhelming as it set up for season 2. But otherwise, Alien Earth, really good show, and I cannot wait for a second season because it's already renewed. In a similar vein, Peacemaker came back for season 2 this year, and I say it's in a similar vein because a similar thing happened where it was really good. The entire season was really great, but then the season finale, a bit underwhelming. They could have done a bit more, but they kind of wanted to round out the story in a more like hopeful, upbeat manner. There was a cliffhanger that I think a lot of people take for granted, but the finale just wasn't as action-packed as the rest of the season. However, it was still a really good season of TV for Peacemaker. I think a really good continuation from season 1. It was very different in like the type of topics that they decided to address and the direction that they seemed to be going, but all in all, it was still a really great season of television. Churchy. This is a show by Kev on Stage that is on BET Plus. It might be streaming somewhere else, but I believe that's where I watched it, on BET Plus. This is a fun show. My parents kind of got me into it because they saw season 1. I've only seen season 2, but I could go back and enjoy it because it's a really funny sitcom, really short, easy to binge and get into. And Kev on Stage actually did a really good job with this show. And in that similar vein, before we even move on, he has another show called The Hospital that is like a sketch comedy / improv sort of miniseries. This is also on BET Plus, if I remember correctly. Features a bunch of really funny and really talented comedians, including like Patrick Cloud from Vine, which was unexpected. But this one is hilariously funny. I would recommend The Hospital to any and everyone who has the opportunity to check it out. The Institute is a show that came out on MGM Plus, formerly known as Epix. And the thing about MGM Plus, there's only one other show on this channel that I know about, but that other show is From, and From is really good. So I honestly checked this show out just because of how much I liked From, and I was a bit disappointed. It has a good start. It definitely has an interesting mystery, but I think it doesn't really go anywhere in this first season. Stuff just kind of happens, and that was a bit disappointing because I expected more from the Institute. I think it's a Stephen King adaptation, but I'm not entirely sure. Alice in Borderland came back for another season. This one also wasn't that memorable. I think part of my problem is I didn't remember what happened in the last season that led up to this, even though there was a recap. But I think I just watch it for the fun games and things that they do. It's kind of a good, if you're watching Squid Game and you finished it and you want something else in a similar vein, Alice in Borderland is really good. That's how I first started watching it. It's sort of another thing that has like these games you play, and sometimes they are to the death. So I would recommend you check it out. Billionaire Bunker. This is a Spanish series that came out on Netflix from the creators of Money Heist. I liked Money Heist. I think it ran a little bit too long, but I decided to check out Billionaire Bunker, and this was these shows are really just novellas. They are soap operas. They are very melodramatic. It was a fun premise, but honestly, most of the time is just spent being over dramatic and not getting to the plot or the action of the story. If you like the melodrama, you will probably like Billionaire Bunker, but me personally, it was a little too much for me. Bel-Air came out with its final season this year, and I gotta give credit to Bel-Air. This is one of the best adaptation reboot type of stories because it stands so different and alone from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's so unique from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, while at the same time it does hint on some of the same themes that we used to love from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So if anyone else is going to do a sort of adaptation reboot or whatever, I would recommend you do something similar to Bel-Air, where you actually change it enough, whether you change the tone or you change the characters or whatever. Change it so that it stands on its own, but also kind of reminds us of the things that we loved about the original show. Bel-Air is so good, underrated reboot, had a really good final season. It zigged where you thought it would zag, and it stands alone as its own show, and a really good show at that. Wayward. Wayward was a show that came out on Netflix, and honestly, this is what I expected from The Institute. So I was disappointed with how The Institute went, but then I checked out Wayward, and I was like, oh, this is actually what I wanted. It's a similar vein where it's like this sort of reform school for bad children, but there's this dark, seedy mystery underneath that you're trying to figure out as you go through it. There's like a hypnosis plot. There is like this town of like zombie people. It's really interesting. There's a deep mystery there, and it's a fun watch at the same time. So I would recommend Wayward. This one is on Netflix. It's made by Mae Martin, and Mae Martin also stars in it, and it's really good. Then there is Stranger Things season 5. I can't give you my final thoughts on it yet. Maybe I will insert them because the finale has not aired yet. It will air tonight. I don't know if it'll be before midnight or after midnight when I watch it, but if I can watch it before midnight, I will try to do so just to make sure, that it belongs on the list because I did finish it in 2025. However, how I feel about Stranger Things 5 so far is I honestly wish it would have ended with Stranger Things 4. It is dragging. It is kind of annoying. The writing is super cheesy. I just want it to be over because it is starting to look like it fell off. Now we're going to get into the movies category, and the movies category is pretty long this year because I made it my mission to watch at least one movie every single week of the entire year. And I did meet that goal. I think I maybe even watched more movies than there were weeks in the year. The first movie on this list is The Substance with Demi Moore. I actually really like this movie, but it is very explosive, disgusting, and just visceral, and it's like a car crash you can't look away from. So I didn't think it was going to get as much awards recognition as it did because I thought people would be their tastes would be a little bit too fine for this really loud and gross movie, but I thought it was a really good movie for being really loud and gross. One of Those Days, this is the newest Issa Rae film starring Keke Palmer and SZA. I saw this in the theaters. This was the first movie I saw in theaters this year, and I did not regret it at all. This movie is hilariously funny. It's a great slice of life type comedy, buddy comedy. This is a really funny movie. You can check it out on Netflix if you have not already seen it, and I would definitely recommend it because it's hilarious. A Different Man, this is the movie starring Sebastian Stan. I think this was an underrated movie from the last award season. It did get nominated somewhere because that's how I actually found out about this movie, but I cannot remember if it actually took home any awards. But this is a really good character story. Sebastian Stan is great in it. The plot of it is really good. There's tension there, so I recommend A Different Man for sure. And Sing Sing, starring Coleman Domingo, about the theater program at Sing Sing Prison, based on a true story. This is one of the most underrated films of the year. Coleman Domingo is great in it. All of the actors, even the non-actors that play themselves in this, are really good, and it's a really heartfelt story. A Real Pain. This was actually a really good movie. I think Jesse Eisenberg is also in it. I loved it. I thought it was really good. It was really silent and still and a lot of room for contemplation. But it was a fun story with great character work. Like a slower movie, not a lot of characters in it, but they all play off of each other very well. The acting is good. The best part of the movie, I think, is the acting. So I'm not upset that Rory won, but I am upset that Coleman didn't. But check out A Real Pain. I thought it was great. In the animated category, there was Flow, which ended up winning for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. This movie was great. Not even just it's also made in Blender. It also has this small dedicated team, so there's a lot of things about the production that was great, but just the movie itself is great. It's about a cat. It's a completely animated film, a cat that is trying to stay dry during a monumental flood that is just taken over the whole world. There's actually no words in it because the cat is the main character, but either way, the visuals are enough to carry this movie all the way through. It's really good. It's animated really well. Beautiful movie, beautifully animated. So I would recommend you check out Flow if you have not already. And another contender for Best Animated Feature was The Wild Robot. This one is very similar because it does deal with a lot of wildlife and natural events and the wildlife trying to survive, but this one also features a robot, and it also does have words in it. This one has dialogue. The robot speaks. Some of the other characters in the movie speak, but in a similar vein, it's also very cute. The animation was very nice. I think that Flow definitely deserved it because it pushed the artistry a little bit more, but The Wild Robot is not a bad movie at all. It's actually really good. I watched Wicked. This is Wicked 1. I haven't seen the new Wicked as of yet, but I did watch Wicked before award season just to check it out. I'm not a big fan of it or musicals. I did like the story though. It makes me look at The Wizard of Oz completely different, so I like how it gave us a backstory that we didn't expect. But I'm not the hugest fan of musicals or anything, so it was just okay to me. And then Gladiator 2, I also checked out. Denzel Washington is amazing in this film. The film itself could have been better, but Denzel Washington, his character acting is so good in this. He definitely deserves some sort of award for how good it was. He carries this movie on his back, and he is not even the main character. Nickel Boys is one of the most underrated films from the Oscars of last year. I don't believe it won any awards, and it was only nominated for a few, but this film deserved to be nominated for its directing, for its cinematography, and for its acting, because all of that is amazing. It's firing on all cylinders. A really heartfelt, sad, gut-wrenching story, but amazing to watch, and the way that it is shot and presented makes it all just, you just can't look away. It's eye candy. It's beautiful. Nickel Boys, very, very underrated. Nosferatu, in a similar vein, I cannot remember who won for best cinematography, but I do remember thinking Nosferatu got snubbed, so I believe it wasn't them. But Nosferatu is really good. This is a vampire story. It's old school gothic horror, but the way that they shot it is so good. Like the way that they use darkness, shadows, and low light, but they have the equipment and the cinematography skills in order to capture it with clarity. Underrated. Nosferatu visually is underrated, but the acting and the special effects and everything was good. The story itself is also really good. I didn't expect to love like an old school vampire flick, but this one really did. It's not my favorite vampire movie of the year, but I'll give it second. Next up is The Brutalist, and this film was pretty good. It was brutal, no pun intended, and it was really long. I gotta mention that it was really long, but I do think it was worth the watch. I think once I found out, checked it out, Adrian Brody is really good in this, as he usually is. The story there was actually really good. The Companion, I know I'm gonna say this a lot, but The Companion is definitely another really underrated movie of the year. It's sort of like a horror comedy. Maybe not horror, maybe a thriller comedy, but The Companion was so good. I don't hear a lot of people talking about The Companion. Part of it is because I think that this movie would have fit better at the end of the year, around the spooky season, when everyone was looking for horror and thrillers. But I think there were so many good movies this year that a lot of them get drowned out, and if they weren't a great movie, then they get forgot about easily. And some of the ones on this list are going to be that, including The Companion. I would recommend you check this out if you haven't seen The Companion. Electric State on Netflix, this one you can miss. This one's kind of goofy. It's kind of cheesy. I like the robot designs. I like the backstory there. It was fun for it seems like it would be fun for like a comic book or something. But the full feature length movie was just kind of corny. It wasn't bad, but it was just kind of cheesy. The Monkey stands out to me as one of the worst movies I watched this entire year, maybe the worst. This one is kind of like a horror, but honestly, it's just more gore than anything. Like, I think this whole movie is just dedicated trying to be kind of like Final Destination and do these really drawn out, gory, violent segments. The story there falls way flat. Nothing is really going on story wise. It's more just like a gore fest exhibition. Mickey 17, this is another movie I think was great this year that just gets drowned out by how many other great movies there was. This is Bong Joon-ho's new movie, stars Robert Pattinson as himself and himself. I also have to mention Mickey 17 and The Monkey both star the main character playing two different characters, plus another movie we're gonna get to later on. Actually, not too long we're gonna get to. But back to Mickey 17, I thought it was really good. I love the tone of it because it's dark at times, but it's optimistic at times. It's futuristic, it's sci-fi, but it's dystopian. I really loved Mickey 17. I think Bong Joon-ho just has a similar taste to me, and the movies he make are so good. But this one is underrated. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. There was a lot of anticipation leading up to it, but I think after it came out, no one really was saying much about it, probably because a lot of other movies came later that just stole all the attention. Next up is Opus. This is an A24 film starring Ayo Edebiri, and I thought this was good. Another one that just kind of gets buried by all of the other releases this year, but this one was pretty good. It just isn't that memorable. Next up is Drop. I didn't really like Drop. Drop is a thriller that features this girl that's getting airdropped by some sort of killer that is after her. The plot to me was a bit too convoluted and it kind of fell apart. It was fun to watch. I think I watched it on an airplane, but it wasn't, if I wasn't on an airplane, I don't think I would have checked this one out. I'll just say that. Talk to Me. This one has been out for a couple years, but I did not check it out until this year. I didn't save this one for spooky season. I checked it out a little bit early, but this was one of the best horror movies that I watched this year. Talk to Me is haunting. It is dark and deep and cold in ways. I would recommend it. I believe it's still on Netflix. I could be wrong. And then the creators of this movie also made another banger. Two of the best horror movies I watched this year, I think, are both made by the same people. And then we get to Sinners. Oh man, I could sit here for hours and talk about Sinners. This one is so good. It fires on several cylinders. I'm not even like, when I first saw the trailer for Sinners, I had no idea what it was really about and what was gonna go on to it. By the time I saw it in theaters, I had a little bit more of an idea of what it was about, but still had no idea of how far, how deep, how crazy it would go. Sinners is so good in multiple ways. It's just a great film. It is very musical and has so much good music in it without being a musical. It touches on a bunch of horror tropes without really being a horror film. It's funny at times. It is action-packed at times. The cinematography and the direction are some of the best of the entire year. Watching the film, like watching the aspect ratio change between different formats, it was just so beautiful. Visually, this film is great. The acting in this film is great. There are VFX in this film that you would not even know because they are so seamless. The music in this film is great. Ludwig Göransson, an Oscar-winning composer, deserves another Oscar for the magic that he was able to create with the Sinners score and the Sinners soundtrack. I already talked about the directing, but again, Ryan Coogler did a really great job. The writing in it is great. The acting in it is great. Michael B. Jordan acting against himself, and it is so good that sometimes you cannot even tell this is the same person acting and playing two different characters. They are distinct, and like I said, there are some other films on this list where the main character is playing two different, or the main actor is playing two different characters. There was Mickey 17, there was the monkey. None of them come close to how it was done in Sinners. I could make, like I said, an hour-long video about everything I love about Sinners. I have made some videos in the past about everything I love about Sinners, and I still have not been able to say everything I love about Sinners. Next up, I watched Hell of a Summer. I kind of forgot about this one. This is a slasher film. It came out maybe a year or two ago, but I didn't check it out until this year. Not memorable at all. There's some great horror films this year, but I think that all of the slashers kind of fell short, and this one is included. It's fun and it's funny, but slashers just aren't really hitting the same way that they used to in 2025. Then there's Captain America Brave New World. I made a first and final video all about this, so you can check out my full thoughts about the film before I saw it and after I saw it in that video. Thunderbolts as well. I also did a first and final video about Thunderbolts, so you can check out my first thoughts and my final thoughts on Thunderbolts in that video. Death of a Unicorn. This movie was fun. It wasn't that good, but it was fun. It was cool. It was about these unicorns. It was kind of like a horror thriller, and the unicorns were the creature that they were trying to hide from. It does get a little bit convoluted in the end, but it was fun. It was funny. I can't be mad at it, you know. Novocaine was an interesting story. This is like an action thriller. This stars Jack Quaid as the main character, Novocaine, who is sort of a superhero in the sense that he cannot feel any pain, and he finds out how to use that to his advantage. This one is also sort of a gore fest, similar to the Final Destination films and similar to The Monkey, but I think they do it really well in this because they use the gore as sort of a tool for the main character to progress the story. I thought Novocaine was really great. Some great performances by Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder in it, and I would recommend people check this out. Fear Street Prom Queen is another slasher. This is an R.L. Stine slasher based on the Fear Street novels. A couple years ago, he did 3 back-to-back, like a trilogy of Fear Street adaptations, and then took a break and then came back with this one. This one, out of all the slashers, this one is the most fun because it's very meta and it knows it's cheesy. It knows it's a corny slasher, so it leans into it. But it's just another corny slasher in a year full of corny slashers, I'll be honest. Mountainhead was an interesting film. This one was on HBO Max. I believe it's an HBO Max original, and it's kind of about the proliferation of AI, but how businesses and different companies are going to use that for their advantage. It's also like a bottle, I can't call it a bottle episode because it's a movie, but it all takes place in like this one location, so it's locked down and the world is moving around the characters. It was fun and it was very interesting. Features Steve Carell, features Jeremy Strong, features Rami Malek. I know there's someone else that I'm forgetting in the cast, but it was interesting. It was fun. I would like to see more in the vein, and it reminds me of a lot of other properties. Not one of the most memorable of the year, but wasn't a bad watch at all. Predator, Killer of Killers. I talked more about this in my Aliens versus Predators video I did earlier this year, but the Too Long Didn't Read is damn it, this is so good. One of the best Predator things I have ever seen, and it is animated, so I did not expect it at all. I haven't seen Predator Badlands yet, but I will as soon as it comes out on digital, so that'll probably be one of the earliest movies in next year's list. Then I also watched Prey. I know this movie came out years ago, but when I made that Predator Aliens vs. Predators video, realized I still hadn't seen it, so I checked it out, and it's so good. Amber Midthunder again in a really good role. This is a Predator film that takes place in very, very early America, and it's Predator versus Native Americans. Damn, it's so good. The action is great. The story is great. Everything about this is great. I had heard it was really good, but now I know for a fact it's really good. The Day the Earth Blew Up is a Looney Tunes film that almost did not make it to a theatrical release. It almost got shelved, but it ended up getting a theatrical release and then a digital release, so you can check it out now, and it's fun. I think it's also on HBO Max now, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's basically just like a long episode of the Looney Tunes, so it has that zany comedy, it has that classic animation feel, and the funny characters you would expect. It doesn't do anything crazy. Like, one of my favorite Looney Tunes movies is like Looney Tunes Back in Action, which is live action and animated, and it does a bunch of really cool stuff. It's not on that level. It's very standard Looney Tunes animated film. The Phoenician Scheme is the newest Wes Anderson film, and while I love Wes Anderson, this was not even like top 5 of my favorite Wes Anderson films. It was cool, and it has everything you would expect from a Wes Anderson film. Michael Cera's character is actually really good in this, but not a memorable movie of the year, and not a memorable Wes Anderson release either. Megan 2.0, I watched this one while I was on vacation, and it is very cheesy. You know how some movies are kind of cheesy with the first movie, but then they really lean into it with the second movie, like Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation? This is the Mortal Kombat Annihilation of Megan. It's so goofy, it's so over the top, it's so cheesy. Yes, it can be a fun watch, but not a great movie, though. I'll just be completely honest. Love Hurts. This is an action thriller starring Ke Huy Quan. I can't remember if this came out last year or this year, but it's like a Valentine's Day action movie. I checked it out. It's fun. The action in it is really good. Marshawn Lynch is really good. It reminds me of like Smoking Aces or any other movie that basically features John Wick to an extent. A big cast of a different like group of assassins or hitmen or whatever. It's in a similar vein as that, but it does have a little bit of comedy. It does have a little bit of romance, maybe. It's a fun movie, but it's another one that kind of gets buried. It's not very memorable. Friendship is Tim Robinson's movie, and if you know anything about Tim Robinson from his sketch show on Netflix or his new show this year on HBO, you'll know that this man is weird. His sense of humor is really weird, and it's very awkward, and it makes for a really interesting sort of tension that is unique to him, and Friendship is all about that. The entire movie is his own specific brand of tension, building throughout until it gets to a point where it boils over. Superman movie came out this year, and I did a first and final video all about that. It was better than I expected, so check out that video if you want to see my full thoughts. The Old Guard 2. This one was kind of unexpected. I mean, we knew The Old Guard 2 was coming at some point, but it just kind of seems like we're very far removed from when The Old Guard 1 came out. I liked it. Another one that's not very memorable, though. Like, I just watched it, and then it was done, and I don't really think much about it at all anymore, which is unfortunate, because I like The Old Guard 1. The Woman in the Yard. This is a horror movie. Danielle Deadwyler is in this, and this is fun. This is very different. It does some really cool stuff. It is actually, very intense, very anxiety-inducing, and it was a good horror film, but it's like no one is talking about this one either. This one kind of goes under the radar, doesn't really get mentioned, and I thought that everything about it was pretty good. Fantastic Four, another movie that I did a first and final video all about, so you can check out my full reaction and review. This one is called The Luckiest Man in America. This is based on a true story about a guy who went on Press Your Luck and found out a system where he would never stop winning almost, and he went and he got a bunch of money. It's a fun sort of thriller, but when you watch the actual movie, there's a lot less conflict there than you would expect. It's just a fun event that happened, and they made an interesting movie out of it. Freaky Tales. I think this is an underrated movie as well. I believe this is based off of the Too Short song Freaky Tales. This is sort of an anthology story that brings together a bunch of different short stories into one overarching story about like this meteorite that crashed into Oakland, and different people got different parts of it, and it gives them sort of powers or protection or something along those lines. Really fun movie with a lot of really cool stories. And I wish more people would check it out. I think everyone should check out Freaky Tales. It's on HBO Max. The Pickup, this one features Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson, Keke Palmer. I believe it's an Amazon Prime movie. It's a fun little like heist type film with a lot of comedy and a lot of heart. It was interesting. Freakier Friday, the sequel to Freaky Friday. I went to see this one in theaters with my family because we all really enjoyed the first Freaky Friday film, and we're excited to see the new one. The new one was a lot better than I expected. I'll give it its credit. It was very funny. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are still really good in it. I honestly wish I would have watched the original before going to see it because there were some Easter eggs and references that I kind of wanted to jog my memory about. But either way, it stood pretty well on its own. Eddington is probably the most tense film of the year. The action in it constantly builds to a point where it almost feels like it's going to suffocate you. It's an interesting story for sure. Tons of action, intrigue, murder, mystery, everything you would expect from a story. I don't know why people aren't talking about Eddington. Highest to lowest is the Spike Lee film, the newest Spike Lee film that is an adaptation of Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. It was not as good as High and Low. I did appreciate, him making an adaptation. I did appreciate the references, but could have been a bit better. Spike Lee has some really great movies. I don't think that this is one of them. It's fun at times, but it's also really corny at the same time. And while this is one of the final Denzel Washington performances that we're going to get, it's not one of his best. It's not a bad performance, but I don't think that he's really doing much in it. It's a very mild Denzel Washington performance, and I don't expect that, especially considering this is the same year that I saw him in Gladiator 2, and he was electric in that. Then next up, I watched all of the Final Destination films, and I did a full video about that, talking about my favorites, least favorites, best kills, and all of that. So you can check that out. That came out around Halloween to celebrate the spooky season. And additionally, in the spooky season, I saw Bring Her Back. This is one of the ones I kind of alluded to earlier. I believe it's from the same directors as Talk to Me, and it is also equally as haunting and creepy as Talk to Me was. In my opinion, this is the best horror film of the year. Then there is Him. This is the film featuring Marlon Wayans, Tyreek Withers, and it is produced by Jordan Peele. I got to see this film in theaters. I actually got like an advanced screen ticket to it, and I got to check it out, and I actually like it. This is one of the worst reviewed movies of the year, but this is not the worst movie I saw this year. It was good. It was very short, and so I guess a lot of people who saw it in theaters did not feel like they got their money's worth of an experience. However, I think Tyreek Withers was great in it. I think Marlon Wayans was great in it, and I just thought it was a great film. And there was Hard Eyes. This is another slasher of the year that just was not very good. This one came out around Valentine's Day. It wanted to be the Valentine's Day slasher film, and man, it was just so cheesy. It was so corny. Weapons, one of the most talked about horror films of the year, but not one of the best in my opinion. While it was cool and it was funny, sometimes when it didn't even want to be, it wasn't that good. I mean, watching this around the same time as I watched Bring Her Back, they're not even close to being on the same level, in my opinion. But it is cool, I guess, if you like that thing. Roof Man is one of the most underrated films of the entire year. I've seen it twice, so I can say that. Roofman is so good. This features Channing Tatum. It's about a true story. This is a heist film. This is a Christmas film. This is a prison break film. This is a rom-com. All of that at once, and it all works together so well. This is Channing Tatum's best performance by far. I made a shorter video reviewing it, and when I rewatched it and had my parents watch it, I even did a bit of a Twitter/Threads reaction thread where I talked more about my thoughts on it. This movie is so good. Streaming on Paramount Plus. You don't want to miss Roofman. I know no one's talking about it because everyone acts like they never heard of this film, but Roofman, insanely good. Funny, heartbreaking, inspirational, weirdly enough, heartfelt, feel good, all of that all in one. Until Dawn. This is the horror thriller creepy movie based off of the video games. This one was actually, I can't even really consider this like a slasher because there's so much going on in it at once, but this one was actually fun. Like, it brings together so many different tropes and does so much stuff at once that it's just a bunch of fun. It kind of like cycles through these different horror movie tropes and brings them all together in one film. It wasn't bad. It definitely could have been better, and it wasn't focused on one thing. It was basically like a sampler platter, a smorgasbord, if you will, of horror tropes. And I actually liked it. I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot. You can watch it on Netflix now if you have not already. Again, another slasher film that just falls short. I like the cast, but honestly, nothing else about it was really memorable. One battle after another. I did do a In It For A Minute review about this film. It's an okay film. I just don't agree with the people who say that this is the best film of the year. I could say I saw 5 films that were better, maybe even 10. I will put this movie in my top 10 films of 2025, but it does not crack the top 5, and I really don't know what a lot of people see in it. After the Hunt, this is a kind of slow, methodical, dialogue heavy. It's by Luca Guadagnino. It's pretty serious subject matter and very realistic, unlike some of his other movies like Bones and All. But this was good. I thought this was really good if you like really dialogue heavy. It reminds me a lot of a play. It's very theatrical in that sense, where the dramatic performances are good. The script and the dialogue is really what the entire story hinges upon. But there's not a lot of action at the same time. Begonia. Now this is kind of the opposite. This movie is all draw. This movie is all hook. This movie will keep you, it has you on the hook like you're a fish, and it'll slowly reel you in more and more as it goes on. This movie is outrageous. This is Yorgos Lanthimos, and I love his movies. The Favorite, The Lobster, and Poor Things are all really good, and this one does not disappoint at all. All his movies are really out there. They can be very violent. They can be very extreme, but they are all worth the watch in my opinion. And Begonia is another one. This one people should be talking about more. This one definitely could make my top 5 movies of 2025 easily. Knives Out 3, aka Knives Out Wake Up Dead Man. This one I did think was a lot better than Glass Onion, because I didn't like Glass Onion. It's not as good as the original Knives Out, but it is really good. And if you watch Knives Out, you know what to expect. An insane cast of characters, a really fun mystery that has a bunch of twists and turns, Benoit Blanc coming in with insane outfits and that accent, and in the end it all gets wrapped up in a bow, how you would expect. It's kind of paint by numbers at this point, but this was not a bad film at all. Wake Up Dead Man, really good. Sorry Baby. This is another slow, dramatic, and sort of sad movie. This one features Naomi Ackie. It is on HBO Max. That's where I checked it out. Kind of similar to After the Hunt in a lot of ways, but also very different in ways. I really like this movie, but again, this is another one that doesn't have a lot of action. You have to really be interested in the characters, the dialogue, the story, and how it unfolds. But if you are interested in any of that, then this is a good movie and you should check that out. And you should check out Sorry Baby. Unexpected Christmas is a new Christmas movie that came out this year, but it was not good. It wasn't good at all. It features Lil Rel Howery. It's very cheesy. Apparently it came out in theaters, but if I went to see it in theaters, I would be upset. I just watched it on Amazon, maybe Stars, something. It was streaming on TV. Fun watch, but very corny. Not very good. The Long Walk. This came out earlier in the year, but I didn't check it out until recently. After I watched a couple of Stephen King adaptations, I had an appetite for some more Stephen King adaptations, so I watched The Long Walk, and it's really good. It's out there. It's the premise is a little bit, but the drama, the acting, everything is really good. I'm never taken out of it. I'm always very immersed in the story. The acting is very good. Specifically, David Johnson does a really great role in this film. Everyone else does, and they really hold up the story pretty well. But it's a very dramatic, sad sort of story, but it also has like violence, gore, and other things to keep you interested. Then also there was The Running Man. So this is another Stephen King adaptation, weirdly similar to The Long Walk. I was actually surprised that both of these films came out in the same year. And also you can see like the Running Man basically just seems like what the Long Walk would be in the future. So it's a really fun double feature that probably wasn't intended as a double feature, but the Running Man is good. It's a lot faster paced, more action, less sad, slow drama, but there is still drama there at the same time. Both of these films are really good. I would recommend The Long Walk and The Running Man. I would recommend watching them together as a double feature if you can. And then Now You See Me 3. Is it called Now You See Me, Now You Don't, or something like that? The newest Now You See Me film, it's kind of paint by numbers. It's kind of like, hey, what if we just did all this fun stuff that you like from the earlier movies again with a bigger cast and more of a budget? The story is nothing to write home about. I honestly don't even remember the story, and this was the most recent film I watched on this list. But if you just like the cool magic shenanigans of the first two films, it's all there in this new film. It's just a bit more formulaic at this point. And that is all of the movies, except for some documentaries, which we'll get to when I get to the reality and documentary category. But that is almost all of the movies that I watched in 2025. Next up is going to be the animated category. I took the animated feature films and put them in the movies category. So this is just going to be animated TV shows, cartoons, and anime. So let's get into it. Starting with Creature Commandos, the newest DC Universe animated series. This one was good. Better than I ever expected it to be. Better than it almost had any right to be. I love the characters in Creature Commandos. I love the scenarios that they go through. I think they're going to come back for a second season. When I first heard that this show was announced, I didn't know what to expect. But now that we've got it, it fits so well in James Gunn's DCU. It tees up a bunch of new characters and old characters in the perfect way. Creature Commandos was great, and it was a great start to James Gunn's DCU. Then there was Pantheon. I believe I talked about Pantheon on last year's list when I watched the first season, but I also watched the second season, which is all of the show. It's only 2 seasons long. And while it was hard to find that second season online for a while, they did add it to Netflix. So you can now watch the whole show on Netflix. I would recommend it. This is adult animation. It is very existential. It deals with like the end of the world. It's about uploaded consciousness, and it's about like the metaverse and the things that we can do when we advance technology. A lot of really broad premises and wild ideas into a very fun animated series. Marvel What If came back for another season. I believe I had to watch some of last season and this season because I hadn't finished it. There were some really fun and really good episodes. It's just that Marvel What If, it's a good bridge between Marvel projects, but it doesn't really do much to stand on its own anymore, especially now that Marvel Zombies has spun off into its own show. Marvel What If just exists as like these fun little Twilight Zone-esque episodes, but they have no lasting effects on the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe. Solo Leveling came back for another season this year, and Solo Leveling is just kind of like battle anime fun. Like, you just want to see the main character do some really cool stuff. His power level is insane. The scaling is all over the place, but you just want to see some fun fights and some cool stuff. And season 2 delivered on some fun fights and some cool stuff. Sakamoto Days. I believe I watched the first and second half of the first season of Sakamoto Days this year. It's on Netflix. This is fun. This is like an anime of if John Wick was like a chunky, retired, wholesome dad, and now he's torn between the worlds of raising his children and keeping his family safe and being a hitman at the same time. Sakamoto Days was really fun. I loved it. I love both seasons, and I can't wait for it to come back for more because I like the juxtaposition of the action, the intense stuff, and then the sort of like more wholesome story at the same exact time. Then there was Magic and Muscles, aka Mashle. I believe I said that right. This is another really fun anime that's on Netflix. I watched, I believe, 2 seasons as they come to Netflix. They might be on season 3 IRL, but I just wait for them to come to Netflix. This one's fun and funny. It really reminds me of One Punch Man because it's deep into the comedy, and it deals with a guy who goes to a magic school, but he doesn't have any magic powers, so he uses his physical strength to make up for it. If you like a funny anime, if you want to see like something, I know, like if you like the idea of like magical academia sort of, this is a really good one as well. A lot of really good reasons to watch Mashle. I'd recommend it. I think it's fun. Harley Quinn came back for another season this year. It wasn't my favorite season of Harley Quinn, I gotta be honest. Some stuff just happens. It's not very memorable. But Harley Quinn is still really good. There's still some really fun things that they get to do. Batman is out of jail. I mean, Robin is back and he's a bit older. So there is still a lot of fun stuff in this season of Harley Quinn. I just wish it was a bit better, and I hope that we are not kind of falling off with Harley Quinn, because they had a really good run so far and I wanted to keep going. Vox Machina. Did I watch all of Vox Machina this year? I might have. I originally tried to watch Vox Machina when the first season premiered, but I didn't keep up with it. Then I came back to it later after there were a bunch of seasons already out, and damn, this show is so good. It's really good. It's based on Critical Role's Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, and some of the stories that they made and the characters they made in that. But it is such a really good fantasy story with some insanely good characters in a crew of an ensemble. It's just, it fires on all cylinders and it does it well, and it's coming back in 2026. I cannot wait. Cells at Work is an anime about cells in your body as they fight off infections. It's kind of like Osmosis Jones if it were an anime. It was fun. Not the best anime I watched this year, but it was fun. It was cool, and you can kind of learn a little bit about your body as you watch the fun little battle anime. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man premiered in 2025. It was actually really good. It was better than I expected. At times, the animation style can be a little bit jarring, but I do like that it found its own animation style. It's not just doing like the What If style. It's not just doing X-Men 97 style. It's somewhere kind of in there in the middle. But the characters, the story, I thought it was really good. It was good to just have a Spider-Man show, something we have not had in such a long time. And I really love what Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man does for Spider-Man and what X-Men 97 does for X-Men. It feels like those old school Saturday morning animated series, but they're also fresh and new at the same time. Craig of the Creek. Honestly, I think this show has been over for a little while now, but the last season I didn't finish it because I didn't want it to be over for me personally. But I did watch the final season of Craig of the Creek this year, and the show is just so good, so wholesome, so underrated. If you haven't seen Craig of the Creek, what are you doing? This is one of Cartoon Network's best shows of all time. Invincible came back for another new season this year, and it was an insanely good season, especially the run at the end, like the final 3 episodes of the season. They did some insane episodes with the Invincible War, with the fight against Conquest, with the fight against Angstrom Levy. All of that wrapped up into this one season. It was and then the Powerplex story as well. This was an insanely good season of Invincible. Some of the best stuff we've gotten from them. Common Side Effects, again, I gotta use the word underrated because Common Side Effects came out on Adult Swim, and this show was so good. It's psychological. It is a thriller. It is an epic. It has this sort of like drug kingpin storyline underneath, but also this sort of magical mushroom wellness storyline at the same time. Common Side Effects is so good, it's already renewed for a second season, and I cannot wait for that second season. But if you have not seen it, do yourself a favor and check it out on Adult Swim. It was so good. It was peak. Attack on Titan, another show that has actually been over for a little minute, but I was behind by a couple seasons. I decided to finish Attack on Titan this year, and yeah, it's as good as people say it is. I'm not even gonna lie. While the story can get a bit slow, and when it gets really into the political story, it can get a little bit hard to follow, but in the end, it's all worth it. The action, the insane ending, the way that the story twists and turns throughout until the end, the flashbacks and flash forwards all work together to tell a pretty continuous story. Attack on Titan is as good as people say it is. Ianu came out, premiered this year on Cartoon Network. There's an entire first season out, plus they also did a animated film of sorts. Ianu was so good. This is a like wholesome, family friendly Saturday morning cartoon, but it features an African protagonist, takes place in Africa, features like African deities, abilities, powers, lore, all of that together in one makes it an extremely unique story that I think everybody should check out. Ianu is so good. It's already renewed for another season. The movie that they did was really good. I cannot wait for more from Ianu. Underrated, just like a lot of stuff on this list is. And then there was also Lazarus by Shinichiro Watanabe, who made Cowboy Bebop. This is a brand new anime on Adult Swim as well. It is so good. Lazarus is extremely underrated. It gives you everything that you love from Cowboy Bebop, which is like really good action, insanely good visuals and animation, insanely good soundtrack and music, everything firing all at once, insanely good characters. The only difference between this and Cowboy Bebop is it's a lot more boots on the ground. It's about, you know, people in this planet. They're going places, where Cowboy Bebop is up in space, going from planet to planet and exploring the world that way. This one is a lot more about one planet and everyone who lives on it. But I mean, come on, you gotta check out Lazarus. So good. One of the best animes of the year, but I don't think anyone's really talking about that. Fire Force came back for another season. It has been an absolute minute, so I didn't know if I would be able to slot right back in with Fire Force, but I think I did. I'm really enjoying Fire Force. They're wrapping up. I think there's only they did the first half of the final season, so there's only half of the final season left that remains. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to be back with these characters. Fire Force, I think it's still really good. Did not fall off at all, even though it's been some time. Zom 100 is a zombie anime on Netflix. I like zombies and I like anime, so I like that. I think I would like that intersection, although there are not a lot of really good zombie anime. This one is actually okay. It was fun to watch. Does a lot with characters. I just think by the end it gets a little bit stale, boring, predictable. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but by the end I just was not as interested in the story as I was when it began. But if you really like zombies and you really like anime like me, it probably would be worth a watch. Go Go Loser Ranger, I started this last year, but it came back for a new season this year. This is the anime that is based on Power Rangers and Sentai, and the newest season was fun. I think they're some stuff advanced a bit quickly, and I think maybe they lost sight of the goal that made me fall in love with the show in the first season. But it is all a bunch of fun action to watch. I just wish they can kind of tighten the story up if they do come back for a third season. And Moonrise was an anime on Netflix that I found. I believe it's from the same creators as Attack on Titan, and while this one really got me hooked, the first episode was great. After that, it falls off steep to the point where by the time it ended, I was not really paying attention to it at all. Love, Death, and Robots came back for another season. It's hard for me to describe an entire season of Love, Death, and Robots because every single episode is so wildly different, but I will say it was another really good season of Love, Death, and Robots. If you don't know, it's an anthology series. So there's like these short films that all come together, but they're all about love and death and robots and/or some really good shorts have come out in the past, and some really good shorts were in this season as well, so you should check it out if you think you'd be interested in it. Rick and Morty came back for another new season, and it was a great season as well. Maybe not as memorable as some of the past seasons of Rick and Morty, but that doesn't mean that there weren't some really good episodes in there, because there were some really good episodes in there. Big Mouth came back for its final season this year, and I'm sad to see the show go, but it kind of ran its course. It's outrageous, racy humor mixed with like coming of age and, you know, learning about yourself and puberty. And it's basically an adult animated show about what these adults were thinking about and doing when they were kids. It's fun. It's interesting. It pushes the envelope, I will say. Sometimes it goes a little bit too far. But all in all, I thought that Big Mouth was fun, and now it has run its course, and I might miss it. Kaiju number 8. This is another anime where, yeah, it's about kaijus and kaiju hunters. Again, I didn't like this season as much as I have liked the past seasons. It wasn't a bad season. There was some fun stuff there, but I just don't feel like it pushed the plot forward as much as it could have. It was more caught up on like introducing new characters and new abilities. Don Da Don came back for another season this year, and I'm still really enjoying Don Da Don. This one is just, it's pretty different because it deals with the supernatural and sci-fi at the same time. They introduced, they picked up the story where they left off after the last season. They introduced like the evil eye character, more villains to fight, but then more heroes and allies to join us. Don Da Don is still really cool. I like it. And I also love that like it's a insane battle anime of sorts with a monster of the week, but underneath there is also this sort of will they won't they young love teen romance type story at the same time, where the extreme, it's the juxtaposition between the extreme things that they go to and the fact that the two characters like each other and they're afraid to even admit it and hold each other's hands. That part is pretty interesting to me. Eyes of Wakanda is probably the best Marvel animated series that we've ever gotten. and I don't think anyone is ready for that conversation. It was so good, so unexpectedly good. I love how it goes back through different decades, different eras, and it brings together Wakandan lore with other lore and other stories and mythology, brings it all together, introduces some new characters, some familiar characters, a different version of Iron Fist. Eyes of Wakanda was just so good. I can't think of a single bad thing about it, except for the fact that it wasn't really marketed. That, like, for some reason, whenever Marvel has a show with a black lead character, they just fail to market it. Seems pretty intentional at this point. But despite the lack of marketing, Eyes of Wakanda was still extremely good. Sausage Party Foodtopia came back for a new season, and it was another really good season. This season they kind of dealt with some more really hard to deal with topics, but they dealt with it in their own raunchy humor sort of way to make it really fun and make it really easy to digest. Sausage Party Foodtopia is really good. Both seasons are pretty great. Solar Opposites. I had to catch up on Solar Opposites. I think the show is done. I think they also did their final season, but they were adding a lot of their episodes to Netflix, so I decided to try and catch up there on Solar Opposites. And it's still really fun. If you're looking for like an alternative to Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites is a really good one because it has its own sort of sauce, it has its own sort of storylines, but at the same time a similar brand of humor. And if you like Rick and Morty or think you like Rick and Morty, you would probably also like Solar Opposites. They're not that different. Futurama, the reboot continuation of Futurama, came back for another season. You know, at this point, it is the same sort of humor you expect from the old Futurama, so nothing memorable, nothing to write home about, but that doesn't mean it was bad, because it wasn't. It was really good. It just did what you expected to do. Marvel Zombies came out this year, like I mentioned earlier, and it was really good. I think that it was better than I ever expected from Marvel Zombies. It did sort of carve its own path from Marvel What If. No, I did not like it as much as I liked Eyes of Wakanda. I still think that was better, but it was close. All right, it was almost there. I would say it's the second best Marvel animated film or Marvel animated project of the year, just behind Eyes of Wakanda. But I mean, just for the Blade Moon Knight hybrid, I think it was worth the watch. Spy Family. I legit today just finished the most recent episode of Spy Family. This is an anime I've been watching for a while. It's about a spy family. The guy is a spy. He needs a family as cover, so he gets this woman to pretend to be his wife, but she's actually an assassin. He gets this girl and adopts her to be his daughter, but she actually has ESP and she can read minds. And then they get a dog, and the dog can actually tell the future. It's fun. It's slice of life, but it's also action at the same time, so it's constantly going back and forth. But this was a really fun season. I thought it ended great. I thought it started great, and yeah, just keeps it up, doesn't fall off. Spy Family is doing good. Smiling Friends, who have been behind me this entire time. Smiling Friends came back for another season, and it was really good. This show is so outrageous, and the things that happen are so insane that sometimes I feel like it's not a real show and maybe I made it up. But in this most recent season, we actually find out that the Smiling Friends and me have something in common. We're both in Philadelphia. The Smiling Friends organization is in Philadelphia. That was so random, but now that I know so much about the show, it makes so much more sense. Star Wars Visions Volume 3 came back this year, and while this is another thing that Disney Plus had that they were not marketing for some reason, there were a lot of really good shorts in Star Wars Visions Volume 3. They continued some of their shorts from earlier seasons, like The Duel and The Ninth Jedi, I believe is the one called, but they also had some new stories that were really good. One of my favorites, but it has such a interesting visual style. I love the color contrast, I love the music, there were just some really cool action scenes in the end, because she has this droid that can become a mech suit of armor and turn you into basically like a Gundam X-Wing. So good. I love Star Wars Visions, all of the volumes, because they just get to try out things over and over and over and over again, and the stuff that works really works, just like in this one. Captain Zero, this is an indie animated project that I checked out. I made a shorts video about it when I got to check it out, and it will be available to the public, I believe, on YouTube in early 2026. So if you have not seen it, I rented it last year, supported the artists and the animators that worked on it. It's so good. The cast in it is great. Keith David is in this. Angelica Ross is in it. It's superhero stuff. It's indie animation. It's black superheroes. All really good. And when it comes out on YouTube, I will make sure everybody knows. But check it out. Look into it. Check out the creator, because Captain Zero is so good. The Mighty Nine. This is another animated series from Critical Role that features like their Dungeons and Dragons characters, and it's a different cast of characters and a different campaign from Vox Machina. This is another one I just recently finished, and it's so good. It's tonally different from Vox Machina. It's a little less, you know, fun in games and a little bit more serious action, but it is also really good. The characters are great in it, and I can't wait to see what they do with this in the future. I want them to keep making more and more, because it seems like they don't miss. And then there was One Punch Man Season 3 Part 1. A lot of people are talking about One Punch Man Season 3 because this seems like it's the example of anime that fell off, and it definitely did in certain regards. However, I don't think, you know, a lot of people are talking about the animation itself and the quality of it going down. That's definitely there. I have other problems with the story and the share of story that Saitama, One Punch Man himself, gets, versus them constantly introducing new character, new hero, new villain, new hero, new villain, new hero, new villain. Like every 5 seconds, it seems like it's always something new, and I just want that same old Saitama story back. The reason why I started watching it. All right, so that is all of the animated properties. We got 3 more categories left, starting off with documentaries / reality TV. I watched a lot of 90 Day Fiancé spin-offs and the original shows, so I think I'll just start with that. I watched 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. I watched the flagship series 90 Day Fiancé, and there's also 90 Day Last Resort. I don't know. They're not worth talking about. They're kind of just a bunch of... it's just a bunch of stuff. And there's also 2 more spin-offs that are on right now that I guess I'll add to next year's list when they finish, because they're still going on. Then there was the Challenge 40, which was a monumental season for the Challenge. They brought back a bunch of different players from different eras and put them against each other on teams. It was fun to watch, but damn, the the OG Challenge players were getting cooked by the Young Bucks. And this isn't even the only Challenge season we got this year, because we also got a season of the Challenge All-Stars, which was fun to watch. It brought together players that I loved watching, like Devon. And then there was also the Challenge 41, which just recently wrapped up, and this was another one where it was the old school vets versus a bunch of new players, and 3 good seasons of the Challenge. I just think that having 3 seasons in 1 year is a bit much. Okay, I think they should go back to 2 seasons at the most, but hey, I'll be watching it either way because I love the show. Then there was Zeus's Baddies series, which also had like 3 different seasons in this year. Technically 4 seasons, but one, Baddies USA, is still on now, so I'll save that for next year's list. But Baddies Midwest finished earlier this year. Then they did Baddies Africa and Baddies Gone Wild, and unfortunately I watched all of that. Watched all of those shows. It's kind of some mess. You basically just watch it to see people fight all day and get drunk and shake some ass a little bit. But damn, I watched all 3, and I don't regret it. I made a video about one of the past seasons of Baddies, and I'm supposed to follow that up with something that we'll probably get in 2026, so look out for that. And then there's also not even a spin-off of Baddies, but there is a British version of the same show called Batters, and I watched it this year. The 2nd season came out this year. I don't think they finished it. It just kind of went off and never came back. So there's that, but hey, it was fun. There was a new season of The Traitors earlier this year. It had a bunch of like Big Brother fan favorite characters, a few Survivor fan favorite characters, and some from the Challenge. This was a really fun season of The Traitors, but we're already gearing up for our next season of The Traitors that's going to be coming out in January 2026, and I'm excited for that. Drewski had 2 reality shows of his own this year. There was Coulda Been House Season 2 and Coulda Been Love Season 1. And I mean, do I have to explain the reality shows? Yes, they're trash. Yes, it's just something to watch for the time being. That's the case for most of these reality shows, including Mean Girls. Not the Mean Girls movie, but this is a reality show that takes place on Now That's TV. It's about it's similar to the other shows, like the baddie shows, but it is about duos. So you come in with a friend or a sister or something, and you guys are supposed to stand against the rest of the house together. A lot of fighting, just like all the other shows. Then there were a few comedy specials that I watched this year. Sam J had a comedy special. I think it came out a while ago, but I checked it out this year. It's called Salute Me or Shoot Me. I think it's on HBO Max if you want to check it out yourself. Roy Wood Jr. had a comedy special that came out on Hulu. There was like a big thing on Hulu where a bunch of comedy specials came out this year. I checked out Roy Wood Jr.'s. It was really funny. So was Sam J's. Really funny. Bill Burr's comedy special called The Drop Dead Years was also really funny. That one's on Hulu. And wait, I think that was all the ones on Hulu. Yeah, those were the ones I watched on Hulu. But there was also Hannah Einbender from Hacks. She had a comedy special that's been out for a while, but I checked it out this year after watching Hacks. And Gerard Carmichael's newest comedy special was on HBO Max. It's called Don't Be Gay, if I remember correctly. Was also really funny, and I enjoyed it. Then there was Zombieverse. Zombieverse is a reality TV show. I believe it takes place in Korea, and it's basically like a physical competition show that takes place in a world where we pretend that zombies are real. So you got to complete challenges while avoiding zombies, avoiding getting eaten or infected yourself. And it's actually pretty fun. The second season kind of dragged a little bit. Wasn't as fun as the first season, but it was still a bunch of fun. And then I watched a couple of documentaries on Netflix under the Trainwreck sort of moniker. If you don't know, Trainwreck is like a series of documentaries, short documentaries that they do about just train wreck events that happen. I watched the episode on Balloon Boy, if you remember that hoax from way back when. I watched the episode on American Apparel and how that business was built up and then kind of fell apart. And I watched the special titled Poop Cruise, which is about a cruise that got stranded and they lost power and it eventually filled up with, you guessed it. So yeah, those were really interesting. There were a couple of other train wreck documentaries that I had watched in the past, like the Firefest one, and there are a couple more that I wanted to watch, but those were the ones that I watched so far. Big Brother 27 came out this year. Y'all know I'm a huge fan of Big Brother. I watch it every single year. I was live tweeting as the weeks went on Twitter and Threads and Blue Sky. This was a really good season of Big Brother. At times it was horrible. At times it was great. It had a good ending, and I loved how it went. They brought Rachel Riley back, who was a fan favorite. And also, unfortunately, I gotta mention the fact that one of the cast members from this most recent season just passed away on Christmas of this year. Mickey Lee, unfortunately, it was a huge loss. It was great to watch her on the season of Big Brother 27, and it's a huge loss for the Big Brother community and everyone in general, because she will be missed dearly in the Big Brother community. Watched two different documentaries about Hurricane Katrina. It is the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, so there were a couple. There is Katrina Race Against Time, which is a Hulu documentary and is made by Proximity Media, which is Ryan Coogler's production company, who makes Sinners. They made Ironheart, or they produced Sinners, they produced Ironheart, and they also produced this documentary. And it's really good, but there's also one on Netflix called Hell or High Water. And it doesn't really matter which one you watch, because there are a lot of similar people doing interviews in both documentaries, and the story that it creates is pretty similar in both. But I personally really like the Hulu documentary about Hurricane Katrina. Lego Masters Jr. If you don't know about Lego Masters, it's a competition series where you build Lego sculptures and whoever builds the best one wins. This one, they did a special that featured kids, because usually it's actually adults that are making these Lego sculptures, but this one featured kids and celebrities teaming up together, and it was like a short mini series version of the show, but it was a fun watch nonetheless. Last Week Tonight came back for another season. This is my favorite weekly news show featuring John Oliver. It's on HBO. And yeah, even though it's a train wreck of a year as far as news, Last Week Tonight kind of helps me get through it and digest the news in a funny way. And so does Have I Got News for You. This one also streams on HBO Max, but it is a CNN show. Roy Wood Jr. is the host, but it also features Michael Ian Black and Amber Ruffin, and it is kind of like a comedy improv show similar to Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it also gives you news stories at the same time. Really good show, and it is renewed and coming back in 2026. Next Level Baker. This is another spin-off mini-series that they did around the Christmas holiday time, where Next Level Chef is a competition that Gordon Ramsay does with different chefs, and they get different equipment to make their meals. This one was all about baking, so they took a bunch of bakers, they used the same conventions and same sort of challenges to keep them on their toes, but they had to bake, and they did bake. The Floor is a trivia competition on Fox where you go head to head in different categories, and whoever has the most category wins at the end gets the most share of the floor and eventually gets the big grand prize. It's really fun to watch if you just like, rapid fire trivia type things. So yeah, The Floor was fun. The Versus the Mafia, and it was about the Philadelphia mob back in I think it was 80s, 90s or so, and sort of a mob war that was going on between two different factions of the Philadelphia mob. I liked it because I'm from Philly, and I'm always interested in mafia stuff. There's a show in this next category that kind of got me more interested in it, but yeah, it hit close to home. Okay, we are on the final two categories, and these ones are a bit shorter than the other ones. This is the Big Show category, and I also consider not even using this category because the Big Show is basically just some of the best shows of the year, and sometimes I'm like, why do I even make the distinction of the uncategorized shows and the Big Show? But for now, we're still going to do it. Maybe next year I'll change the category out for something else. But the big shows that I watched this year, starting with Borders. This one is so underrated. I know I said underrated 100 times already, but this one is free. It's on Tubi. It's a British series that takes place in a boarding school, but it is so good. And the second season, they brought in Wumi Masaka. They brought in Alan Cumming, in addition to the cast that they already had. This show is so good. I want more people to check it out because it is free. Did I say it's free? Did I mention that it's free? It's free, but it's also really good, and it deserves a lot more eyes on it so that we can get more seasons of it. The Head is another sort of murder mystery type series. It's a modern murder mystery. This is their third season, and I honestly did not think that they could keep the show going for 3 seasons because we solved the season 1 murder, we solved the season 2 murder, and now it's getting a bit much, but they still found a way to make it very mysterious. They still found a way to keep you engaged throughout the entire time, keep you on your toes, and make a really good story in the end. So yeah, The Head is still really good. All 3 seasons are good. It's on HBO Max. Check it out. Mo, I'm going to use the word again, underrated. Mo is one of the best Netflix original series. That is first season and second season. If you have not already seen it, check it out. Watch it yourself and prove me wrong. Mohammed Amir, it's his own original series. It talks about, it kind of fictionalizes some of the stuff in his own life, but it is such a great story. Really great characters, really heartfelt. It deals with topics like Palestine because Mo himself is Palestinian, and in the second season him and his family make a trip back to Palestine and experience what is going on there firsthand. Deals with that topic head on as opposed to in a roundabout fashion. Check out Mo because it is just so good. It's funny and the characters are great in it, but it also deals with some very heavy subject matter in a way that I think most people could not. So it does some heavy lifting there. Mythic Quest. We talked about Mythic Quest a bit earlier because there is a spin-off of it, but the final season of Mythic Quest came out this year, and this show is still really good. One of the best ones on Apple TV Plus that I think a lot of people don't know about. It has the humor you would expect from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it also deals with video game development in a way that you would not have expected. Mythic Quest, all seasons of this show are really good, including the final one. The Righteous Gemstones also came out for its final season this year, and it was fun. The show is just funny, outrageously funny. They do some stuff that you think you wouldn't even be able to do in a show, and they do it well. And this final season was, again, really funny. I'm gonna miss the Righteous Gemstones for sure. There's some really good character work in this and just outrageous comedy that no other show is doing. The White Lotus came back for another season, another explosive season. This one takes place in Thailand. It was as insane as some of the earlier seasons. They always do this sort of backwards murder mystery where someone's gonna die, but you got to figure out who it is and why. The tension is there, the comedy is there, the beautiful landscape that the show is set in is there. Everything you would expect from White Lotus is here in this newest season, and they're coming back again, I believe, next year for another 4th season, if I remember correctly. Black Mirror had another season this year, and I think that it wasn't a bad season. There were some good episodes in there, but Black Mirror's tone is completely different these days, where it used to be very dark, thriller, and almost horror adjacent. Now it's a lot more like a sitcom, sci-fi, easier to get through. I think they just want to make it more family friendly and have it easier to appeal to a wider audience, but I don't think that's doing it any services. Then there is Hacks. Hacks came back for a new season, and this show is still insanely good. I love what they did with this newest season, delving into late night comedy, taking their characters to a place that they've never been, but then sort of kind of dealing with, is that the place where they want to be. Hacks is really good, has some of the best comedy writing of any show on this entire list, and it's about comedy writing, so it only makes sense. The Last of Us came back for a 2nd season, and you know what, guys? I like The Last of Us Season 2. It's nowhere as good as the second game, The Last of Us Part 2, but I actually played The Last of Us Part 2 for the first time this year while Season 2 of the show was going on, so I was able to directly compare and contrast them. And yeah, it's not as good. I don't think any story will be as good as The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, but The Last of Us Season 2 was fun. Some of the decisions they made were not good. Some of the decisions they made were good. So I honestly just wish they would have done a more faithful adaptation, because the story of the video game was already so good, it did not really need to get changed up as much as it did. But then there was Andor, came back for its 2nd season. I did a first and final video where I talked more about each episode and my first reaction, but damn, Andor came back for a 2nd season that was just as good as the first season. How do they do it? I don't know. Severance, I actually watched both seasons 1 and 2 of Severance this year. I tried to watch it way back when the first season was out. Didn't stick with it, but I'm like, let me just binge through all of it. Sometimes binging actually helps get through the entire show, and it's really good. It's so mysterious, it is so out there and extreme and fantastical in ways you wouldn't expect it to be, but mysterious and dark at the same time. Severance is great, and I can see now what everyone loves about it, because I love it too, I'm not gonna lie. The Rehearsal came back for a 2nd season, and y'all have to check it out, because there's so many things in this that you wouldn't believe unless you saw it yourself. Nathan Fielder, the comedian behind this show, actually learned how to fly airplanes for this show, and he flew an entire commercial airplane full of a bunch of actors for the show, and you won't believe how he got there or why unless you check out The Rehearsal Season 2. If you haven't seen Season 1, check that out as well, but it is just outrageously funny. And it's reality at the same time. I could have put this in the documentary reality category, because even though it's very funny, most of the people in it is not scripted. The Bear came back for another season, and it was another really good season. I really love the episodes we got that were like directed by Ayo Edebiri, and where we got to focus more on those characters like Sid and what's Lionel's character's name? I cannot remember off top, but I did like getting to see more of the characters that are in the periphery as opposed to, you know, just the main story, because the main story is really gripping of them trying to make this restaurant work, but there are so many good characters in this story that we would love to see more and more of them with each season. Gen V also came back for another really good season. They had a lot to follow up from with season 1. Season 1 was really good, and we were in anticipation of how they were going to come back with season 2, and season 2 was also really good. I thought it was really good from beginning to the end. I don't think there was a moment or an episode that I didn't like. It just kind of ramped up more and more until it got into the end. I think some people complained that the villain wasn't strong enough because of how easily they took him out, but I think it was more of a commentary on how strong the heroes are in this story, the main characters, as opposed to how weak the main villain is. The Chair Company came out on HBO Max. I watched the entire show. This is by Tim Robinson as well. Just like the movie Friendship, they're both on HBO Max if you want to watch them. The comedy in it is so similar, but I watched the entire show of The Chair Company, and I have no idea what happened or what it was about. So there's that. Welcome to Derry came out near the end of the year, and this is a phenomenon. People are in love with Welcome to Derry. I'm one of those people as well. The characters are good. The backstory you get for it is better than anything I could ever expect. It goes really deep into the lore of it, and then also expands into a bit of other Stephen King stuff by bringing in like Halloran from the Shining films, or Shining film. But damn, it's so good. The character work is so good. The story is so good. Even though there are maybe some plot problems in It Welcome to Derry, I think that we were so enthralled with the performances and the characters that nobody actually cared. No one cared if the plot was a little bit here and there convoluted. We just loved watching the story unfold, and also there was a sense of community around It Welcome to Derry that we all felt like we were watching it at the same time. Boardwalk Empire, this show came out years ago, and my dad watched it when it was on TV. I had seen some scenes and episodes here and there, but I had never watched it fully myself, so I decided to check it out from beginning to end this year. It's an HBO series. It deals with bootlegging during Prohibition, rum running, but also different mobs and mafias working together. The Irish mob, the Italian mob, the black mob, the Jewish mob. It deals with Atlantic City, Philadelphia, Chicago. Al Capone is a major character in this. There's so many plates in the air with this show, but they never drop. Everything is handled so well. By the time I got to the end, I was just so excited to see how all of the stories converge and finish. And damn, yeah, it was so good. Boardwalk Empire was so good, and I think watching the mafia stories in that is what made me want to go watch that Philly mob documentary on Netflix afterwards. It's an older show, so people have probably seen it, but if you haven't seen it, you're going to want to check out Boardwalk Empire. I Love LA is a brand new HBO original. It just finished up recently. It features Rachel Sennett, but this is really fun. It is definitely like your similar to Girls, like this friend group trying to live and make it. I think usually a lot of those shows are based in New York, but this one specifically is based in LA. The characters are from New York, but they transplant to LA. They try to make it in the industry. They try to maintain their relationships, their romances, their friendships, and all of that. Wow, it's also really funny. I didn't want to like the show when I first started watching it, but I did like it because it's hilariously funny. The characters are so stupid that you can't stop watching them. But overall, the show is really clever, really fun. And yeah, if you just let your guard down and enjoy it, it's extremely enjoyable. And then the final show in the big show category is the Vince Staples Show, which came back for season 2. And I know you guys didn't check it out. Watch it. I made a first and final video about season 1 of the Vince Staples Show and how good and underrated that was. Season 2 is just as good and just as underrated. It has this sort of dark thriller tone, but it is still the classic Vince Staples humor that you expect, with some Kenya Barris sort of production and directing in there as well. Vince Staples Show, season 1 and season 2 are both really good, so check them out. And that is going to be it for the shows, the TV shows, and the movies I watched. But the final category, games, story-based video games. I added this category last year, and as you can see, we're still doing it. So I'm going to start off with Borderlands 3 DLC. While I had beaten Borderlands 3 way back when it first came out, I never played through the DLCs. So this year, ahead of Borderlands 4's release, I decided to play through all of the DLCs, and they are all really good in different ways, but really good in general. And you know, Borderlands 3 gets kind of a mixed reception, but these DLCs are all really good. Then there was the Indiana Jones game. It came out last year, but I didn't play it until this year, and I was actually happy I played it. I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan, but I like the mixture of like action, stealth combat, puzzles, exploration, riddles, all of that mixed into one. It was perfect for an Indiana Jones game, but it was also fun if you just wanted something like a first-person adventure game. Assassin's Creed Mirage. This was Assassin's Creed's first game back in the stealth format, so I wanted to check it out ahead of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I actually really like Mirage. I love that they went back to the stealth format. The open world in this game is massive, but it is really fun. They really polished a lot of the mechanics, like parkour is really good in this. Assassination and stealth is really good in this. Combat is a bit lackluster, but it is good enough. And I would actually just prefer if all of the Assassin's Creed games go back to that sort of format as opposed to when they tried to branch out into the RPG format. But looking at Assassin's Creed Shadows, there is a little bit of the stealth and a little bit of the RPG married into a new format there. So there's that. But I actually liked Assassin's Creed Mirage gameplay wise. Story wise, I have no idea. Like, it really lost me at the end. I'm gonna be completely honest. I also played Fable 3. Last year I did Fable 2. The year before that I did Fable 1. So this year I had to do Fable 3 ahead of the new Fable game that was supposed to come out in 2025, but now has been pushed back to 2026. Fable 3 is good. Personally, I think my favorite one is Fable 1, but I do like some of the stuff they did in Fable 3. I think I got caught up having to like earn money and buy property and have a certain amount of money by the end of the game, but other than that, the basic story is pretty fun. And then also I played the Mafia games in 2025, trying to lead up to Mafia the Old Country, but I just recently finished Mafia 3, so I'm going to try Old Country in 2026. But yes, I played Mafia 1, Mafia 2, and Mafia 3, and they are all really good. Even Mafia 3, which breaks away from the format and tries to go for an open world game sort of mechanic, there's still a really good story there. All three of the games have an insanely good story, so I'm excited for Mafia the Old Country just for that reason. Mechanically, they're a little bit rough. It's a third-person cover shooter, so it's not the most exciting gameplay, but story-wise, oh my god, they fire. Man, the writing and everything is just so great in these. I also played Spider-Man 2 this year as it came to PC, so I was able to play it for the first time, considering I don't have a PlayStation and I'm not planning on buying one anytime soon. And it was fun. I had a lot of technical issues because I played it on Steam Deck, and you probably should not be playing the game on Steam Deck, but I did beat it, and I am going to revisit the game as I'm building my new gaming PC and try it out New Game Plus with a little bit more FPS. But it was really good story-wise and gameplay-wise. The Last of Us Part 2, I mentioned that a bit when we talked about the show, and also my full playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2 is here on the channel, so you can check it out and you can get my thoughts firsthand. But I already knew how good the story was because I watched it before I had ever played it, and then playing it was just another even harder experience because you're actually involved in, you know, the loss, the desperation, the killing, the survival, everything that these games are composed of. When you have to do it firsthand yourself, it hits a bit different. But The Last of Us 2, in my opinion, is one of the best video game stories of all time. You couldn't change my mind about it. The way I know is because it's a fictional story and they killed off a fictional character 5 years ago, and there are some people who still can't get over it. They can't deal with the grief of losing that fictional character, and they can't even play the games themselves because of the loss of that fictional character. That's how you know the writing is good. South of Midnight came out this year. This is probably the most underrated game of all year. Story is great. The animation style is so unique and it's so good, and when you're playing the game, the art shines through and looks so beautiful. A lot of really good story work in this, and I also love that it comes from a very different perspective of Black Southern lore and uses that as a backdrop for this entire story, and it does it so well by giving you, monsters to fight and ghouls to go up against and different arenas to traverse. All of it is done really well in South of Midnight, the most underrated game of the year. But it's coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation very soon, so I hope that everyone else who hasn't been able to play the game gets to play the game because it was so much fun for me. The music also is just really good in South of Midnight. Doom: The Dark Ages. I was not like a huge Doom person. I did play the first game. I don't think I ever played Eternal, but considering I had Xbox Game Pass, I decided to go in with Doom: The Dark Ages, and I played through the whole thing. It's really fun. I mean, for a boomer shooter, it is the one. It's the originator. Yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages was so good. I have the original Doom on Steam now, so I might revisit that, and I've never played Eternal, but I might check that one out as well. Doom: The Dark Ages, I love how it shifted the environment and the setting of Doom, and even though on paper it might have sounded a little bit cheesy to take Doom back to Dark Ages and give him like medieval armor and weaponry, it just worked so well when you're actually playing the game. You felt really heavy and armor clad, and yeah, it all just did it. So I wish more games were able to do that and just take their games and put them in a completely different setting and make a completely different experience out of it. The Outer Worlds 1. I played The Outer Worlds 1 this year in anticipation of The Outer Worlds 2, and I really liked it. It's a very short game, but I do love, space exploration. I love the cool weapons. I love the RPG format. I played a lot of Obsidian RPGs this year, but not all of them have stories that can be beaten. I really like The Outer Worlds 1, and I was excited to play it and get ready for The Outer Worlds 2, which I'm playing right now. Batman Arkham Asylum. I have played every Arkham game except for Arkham Asylum, so I was like, why not just play it? I had it on Steam, I just hadn't played it yet, so I went through it and I played it and I enjoyed it. I know it's weird that I started with Arkham City, I played Arkham Knight, I went back and did Arkham Origins, and now I'm doing Arkham Asylum last because that was the first game. But it still is good. It still works. Honestly, my main problem with doing Arkham Asylum last is there's so much less features in that game as opposed to Arkham City and Arkham Knight, but it's still a really good game that can stand on its own. Watch Dogs 2, I had this game in my library for a while, and while I started it a long time ago, I realized that I had never finished it. So I was like, why don't we just finish it this year? And it's a fun game. It's actually really cool. I love the mechanics and how you can hack everything and get different hacking skills to traverse the open world and deal with any problems. And I like how you can go into the game like guns blazing, or you can go non-violent and it still works either way. Yeah, Watch Dogs 2 was great. Fallout New Vegas, I decided to play New Vegas ahead of the new season of Fallout since I found out that it was going to be set in New Vegas, and I wanted to know about all the references, and I'm so glad I did. It was fun, very similar to Fallout 3, which I played last year, so I didn't need a refresher or anything. It's not like unique enough gameplay, but it is very unique story, unique factions, and a unique location. And now that I'm watching the new season of Fallout, I love that I can just point and like, I know that place, I know that character, I know this. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I will remove this from the list if I cannot beat this game by today, because I'm still playing it. I'm on the last chapter. I played most of the Assassin's Creed games, but in the stealth era, the only ones that I missed were Black Flag and Rogue. So I'm deciding to play those now because Ubisoft Plus is now included with Xbox Game Pass, so I can play it for no additional cost. I like Black Flag mechanically. I like how they incorporated the naval combat. It's perfect for a pirate game. I love the big open world map that is separated by the seas, and you can swim and traverse throughout while also doing your naval combat. The story and the protagonists are a bit meh, in my opinion. I'm not emotionally invested in the story that much. I don't really like the protagonist, but you don't really have a choice in which protagonist. You just play whoever you gotta play. So Black Flag is cool. Not my favorite Assassin's Creed game or anything, but not bad either. Alright, and with that is everything that I watched in 2026. I know, it was a long list, and actually I also forgot some things that I remembered in editing. So a couple of movies I forgot to mention. Ash and Together are two horror-esque films that I watched during the spooky season. I did not like Ash at all, so maybe that's why I forgot about it. But Together was really good. One of my favorite movies of the spooky season. I don't know why I forgot to put it on the list. And then in stand-up specials, I also watched Kevin Hart's new stand-up special called Act Your Age. It's on Netflix, and it was really funny. So yeah, I want to add that in as well. But now I'm going to tell you guys what are my favorites, least favorites of the year. I mentioned a lot of times, so I'm going to make a compilation of everything in this video that I called underrated, because I think there were a lot of really underrated movies, TV shows, etc. in even video games in 2026. So I'm going to make a list of all of that. But for right now, we're just going to talk about the best and the worst. To get the worst out of the way first, the worst movies I watched this year were Ash and The Monkey. Easily and by far. I don't think I watched anything that was as bad as that. Even though there were a couple of things that I just didn't like personally, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, it still wasn't that bad. But Ash and The Monkey, in my opinion, were that bad. Okay, it took me a minute. I had to recheck the list to find what I think the worst show of 2026 is. But I think it is either going to have to be The Institute, or maybe one of the animes like Moonrise. And then the best of the year, I have a couple entries for best of the year. One that I don't think a lot of people are going to say, the best anime I watched this year would have to be Lazarus. I need more people to check out Lazarus and talk about Lazarus, because I loved it. I get that maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, because it is just very slow and calm and like lo-fi and just these beautiful environments, and the story progresses, but it kind of progresses slow, so maybe that's what people don't like, but I just love it. I loved Cowboy Bebop and I loved Lazarus, and I can see the sort of artistic direction similarities between both of them. For my favorite shows, I would have to say it's probably going to be Andor Season 2. A lot of really good shows this year. Mo Season 2 also has to get mentioned. Andor Season 2, Mo Season 2, Borders Season 2, The Rehearsal Season 2, Gen V Season 2. Okay, now that I'm looking at the list, there's a lot of really good ones there. And Vince Staples Show Season 2. As far as first seasons, I Love LA and It Welcome to Derry were really good. The best of all of those might be Andor Season 2, but it's really close. There were a lot of good entries for my favorite show of the year. Favorite movie of the year is easily Sinners. Easily Sinners. When I watched Sinners, when I came out of the theater, I had the feeling then that Sinners was the movie of the year. And I still gave a lot of shows, movies a fair chance, and I found a lot of good ones. I really liked Begonia. I really liked Eddington. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Eddington, but I thought it was really good. There were a lot of really good movies I watched this year. Even like the Oscar contenders that came out like last year, like A Different Man was really good. I like The Substance. I loved Flow. Nickel Boys was amazing, but Sinners is so good in multiple regards. I don't really care, to be honest, whether it gets the recognition it deserves or not. It has already been able to just do monumental things for movie theaters, for movies, for theaters, for all of that. And yeah, that the legacy is going to be felt either way. And I guess that's it. Is that everything? I talked about my favorite shows, movies, animated. So I guess that's it. Well, I could say video games. What is my game of the year? Damn, this one is actually a hard category. I know that the games that I played this year are not really the game of the year competitors that everyone else is watching. And that usually happens to me. But for me personally, I really do love Borderlands 4. It has its problems. Even to this day, it has its problems. But mechanically, it's such a good game. It has a lot of depth and it has a lot of content. And it is the Borderlands format that I fell in love with. Just more of it. But honestly, for game of the year, we got to give credit to South of Midnight. It is the most underrated game of this year. Easily. So maybe I'll go with that. I'm going to be honest. There's some good ones here. Doom the Dark Ages is good. I'm enjoying The Outer Worlds 2 right now. I play Fallout New Vegas. But I'm going with South of Midnight for my game of the year. I got to be completely honest. And that includes Indiana Jones. That includes Spider-Man 2. That includes the entire Mafia franchise. I could give it to The Last of Us 2 because I really love that game. But since, the game came out years ago, this is just a remastered version of it that I finally get to play on PC. I'll give it to South of Midnight over everything. So I guess that's it. We're going to wrap it there. That's everything because the video is already long as hell. But guys, that is everything. I would appreciate if you checked out any of this video. If you made it all the way to the end, leave a comment. I will shout you out because I get it. It's very, very long. Imagine how long it was just to edit, to put it all together and add all the tiny little clips in there. But I'm glad I did it, and I keep doing it every year because I enjoy these videos and I enjoy looking back at the year this way. But we can also look back at the year through the videos, through the subscribers. I believe I hit I was at like 700 subscribers at the beginning of the year. I hit 800 and 900 and maybe 9. We're about to hit 950, so I got close to 950 all in 1 year. So I'm excited to hit 1,000. I'm excited to hit what's next. I'm excited for whatever the next goal is going to be after that. But I'm going to get up out of here because I can't waste any more time. I'll see you guys in the next video. I have a bunch of fun stuff planned for 2026. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, y'all. GG's. Okay, there's El Guapo. Oh, and he's got a... Oh! Max. He's got a love interest with a... Oh, my fault. Hold on. That caught me off guard. Frankenroot.